All right, thank you very much, and welcome everybody. Today is a special day. If you hadn't noticed on the calendar, this is the fall equinox. You look that up if you're not familiar with it. But today is the first day. I don't know if it's the first full day, but it's the first day of the fall. So please make a note. You don't want to let that get by you. All right, everybody. We're going to be doing a Chargemaster workshop. We're going to be talking about reviewing and updating the Chargemaster conducting audits. We're going to slide number 2. That's a disclaimer. I'll simply summarize it by saying, well, I'm going to give you the very best material I have today. As usual, whenever it comes to a compliance issue, you're basically on your own. Get multiple resources to say the same thing, particularly with the statutorily based programs such as Medicare. Be sure that you are following any rules and regulations. Slide number 3 is a little bit about me. You can read about me if you wish. It is true that my favorite reading material is the Federal Register. I sometimes almost get excited. All right, slide number 4. Well, what is this Chargemaster? Well, it's conceptually, it's pretty simple. It's simply a file that has all of the charges that a hospital makes. Now, particularly today, since hospitals have really become integrated delivery systems and they have provider-based clinics and they employ physicians and they bill for physicians, we're doing a lot of things through the Chargemaster that we probably didn't do 20 years ago. So we're expanding the use of the Chargemaster, but basically it's just a listing of all of the charges that we make, okay? Now, normally it's a flat file. Sometimes it will be a relational database. Okay, I will not go into that today. Doesn't affect what we're doing today in terms of your review. CPT HCPC coding, yeah, it's very important for that. Sometimes we code, and when I use the word code, I'll be referring to CPT HCPC codes. Sometimes we code through the Chargemaster statically. Other times we develop the CPT HCPC codes dynamically outside of the Chargemaster, but then we still have to hook up those codes with the charges that have been made. Now, what's the distinction between a review and an audit? Well, not much, okay? We'll use the generic term review. I guess you could have something that's a little more formal in terms of an audit, but usually we just call them reviews. Now, even in reviewing the Chargemaster, one of the things we have to have, and we see this more on the audit side, we have to have guidelines. Well, where do these guidelines come from? Well, sometimes they come from statutes, laws, especially for the Medicare program. Sometimes they come through our contracts. But more likely, what we need to examine are the associated Chargemaster policies and procedures, and then this is going to get us into billing policies and procedures, and sometimes even into utilization review policies and procedures. So just keep in mind that if you're going to be reviewing your Chargemaster, somebody may have made some decisions that will affect what the Chargemaster looks like, how it's been set up, etc. Modifiers, yep, sometimes we put modifiers into the Chargemaster, sometimes we don't. Do that with due consideration. Charges. Well, where did these charges come from? And sometimes you might be surprised to find out where the charges did come from. And or you may be required to develop some charges for certain services. And then the question becomes, well, what should we be charging for them? Now, we're not going to go into that today. That's for a separate workshop. But again, in terms of reviewing your Chargemaster, you may want to look at it from the perspective of your charge structures. Are your charges way too high? Are they way too low? That's not likely. Or are they someplace in between? And then we get into whole discussions about cost to charge ratios, et cetera. Revenue codes. As I said, in a week we'll be devoting our entire time to revenue codes, a really exciting topic. Who takes care of the Chargemaster? Well, probably you. You may not want to. This may be just something that was